All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Thomas James, and welcome to another episode of Cold Reads. I guess this is a show. Today we are going to be starting on the project Riftside, Book 1 by Henrik Saetre. Am I getting that right, Henrik? And Cassius Lange. And I just spoke with these two authors the other day. Cassius Lange, you'd probably recognize from, if you're a Sound Booth Theater regular, from writing Mimic and Me 4, or not just book 4, the whole series with Ryan Tang. So you'll recognize his name. Henrik is he's newer to the LitRPG genre. And he's written a story here that I'm really excited to work on. Riftside is a warming and it's a warming adventure filled with heart, but also with a lot of humor and no shortage of action. Something I really like about it is that there is a strong theme of coming home. And that's something that I think we all probably relate to, this feeling of wanting to go home and connect with our loved ones, and that is strongly present in this series. If you are tuning in live, welcome. Do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and say hello in the comments. Just let me know that you're here. I see that Henrik is here, the author, so we're going to get some good back and forth, hopefully, about character voices and, just the general production. And, hopefully, Henrik, I invite you to share your thoughts and ideas, and yeah, I invite you, but no pressure at all. And of course, anybody watching, no pressure at all to comment, obviously. But if you do, I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you are not watching live and you're tuning into the stream after the fact, welcome as well. I know a lot of people like to listen to these streams afterwards, connect with stories, and learn a little bit about a production before it goes out, get a little bit of a sneak peek. So if that's you, welcome. And again, like and subscribe. The more people like this channel, the more people subscribe to this channel, the more people share this channel, the more Sound Booth Theater is alive in the minds of people who like to listen to audiobooks. And we want our presence to be well known, because I think we do a pretty good job on our audiobooks, and we want more people to listen to us, and we want to be able to share more and more what we do with you guys. So if you like what we do, please let us know. If you don't like what we do, please let us know also. We are nothing if not we like to listen to our fan feedback, and we're nothing if it weren't for our fans. We'd be nothing if it weren't for you guys sharing your feedback and your thoughts. And sometimes we're like, you know what? I disagree, and that's okay. But we want to be able to, have a conversation with you guys. The production that we do is for you, right? And we are artists. Definitely, we have our own vision about what we think an audiobook should sound like, what a character should sound like, what have you. But you guys are the ones who are listening to it, and you guys are the ones who are paying for it. So it's important to us that you guys are also happy with the experience, and it helps us grow as actors too. If there are suggestions or thoughts that I can think about while I'm recording, or maybe on a later project, I can think about them. Really, again, no pressure at all, but yeah, I just enjoy chatting with you guys. So, you are invited to share your thoughts on my performance or thoughts on a character. And sometimes I'll go back and redo them, and sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. It just doesn't work with my style, but you are invited to share regardless. Whew, it is hot in here. Dang. I'm already running out of oxygen. Well, I don't have my door closed, but I'm probably going to have to take breaks every now and then just to, breathe. But I'm also blabbing away right now. I've got a new camera here. I don't know if the resolution is a little bit better than what it has been in the past, but it seems pretty clear to me. And my voice sounds like it's pretty good. I think I'm coming through. Yeah, it looks like I'm coming through, and I can see your comments here, so everything should be good to go. All right. What do we have? How are we going to start this? Well, you can see my Ableton screen. Some people like to watch as we record a little bit of a sneak peek into what we do and how we work. Okay. Gotta get into the mindset of narrating. Settle into the zone, so to speak. There is a zone of creativity. I'm not sure if you ever feel the zone, Henrik. But I find that particularly at the beginning of a project, it's important to tune in to myself, to my feelings. The more connected I am with my feelings, the more sensitive I can be to the script. The more sensitive I can be to the maybe quieter ideas that pop into my head. Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, False Positron. Oh, it's awesome to know that you are voicing this book. Are you familiar with Riftside, False Positron? Henrik, you said, here's something to help you get into the mood. And then it's blank. I don't know if you tried to share a link. It might be that links are disabled on our YouTube channel. Excuse me. Time to settle in. All right. Here we go. Oh. Actually, before we settle in, let me just go to the Legends and Characters tab. And I believe we agreed that our Jeff cameo, or a Jeff role, it's more than a cameo, would be Canute. So here we go, just gonna type in Jeff there, and now all of Canute's lines are Jeff. Chapter 1. Today, we are fielding 3 adventuring parties and 3 scavenger groups, a commanding voice said, speaking over the hushed whispers. It belonged to a man who had dedicated all of his life to adventuring and keeping people safe. Let's take another run at that. Feeling British for Edwin. Today, we are fielding 3 adventuring parties and 3 scavenger groups. Let me try American. Today, we are fielding 3 adventuring parties and 3 scavenger groups. What do you think, Henrik? Do you feel the the kind of British, wispy sort of, what's his name? Sean Bean? Today we are fielding 3 adventuring parties and 3 scavenger groups. Or, do you feel more like the Superman? Today we are fielding 3 adventuring parties and 3 scavenger groups. That's more of like a superhero vibe versus like a Sean Bean fantasy vibe. Curious what your thoughts are, Henrik. I'm not familiar with the book, but I've seen it mentioned on Reddit. I really like the authors. Both are really good. Sean Bean, definitely. Good. Okay, that's my preference as well. Today, we are fielding 3 adventuring parties and 3 scavenger groups, a commanding voice said, speaking over the hushed whispers. It belonged to a man who had dedicated all of his life to adventuring and keeping people safe, Commander Edwin Rothers. This afternoon, I expect to see the same number return. This afternoon, I expect to see the same number return home from the dungeon. This afternoon, I expect to see the same number return home from the dungeon. Remember, this isn't about glory or loot. It kind of is, though. It kind of is, though. Loot, that is. At least for me. I shifted on my feet, excited to go out. I shifted on my feet, excited to go out on my... I shifted on my feet, excited to go out on my first dungeon run. The Twisted Titan spawn rates are threatening to overwhelm the Rift staging. The Twisted Titan spawn rates are threatening to overwhelm the Rift staging base. Our mission is simple. Cool the numbers to reduce the pressure on our walls and return home alive and well. And no, don't even try going after any variants. I'm looking at you, Richard, and you and your group especially. You and your group especially. The group chuckled, and so did the rest of those present. It was important to stress the danger, but also keep the mood light whenever possible. The commander's voice carried across Sentinel Station's gathering yard, his words a crisp. The commander's voice carried across Sentinel Station's gathering yard, his words as crisp as the morning air. He was a broad-shouldered man. He was a broad-shouldered man, wearing stone-gray plate armor that encased his whole body. The man stood ramrod straight atop a steel-husk tree stump. The man stood ramrod straight atop a steel-husk tree stump, both hands leaning on his massive tower shield. His tone was as grave as the heavy scarring running down the left side of his face. A larger-than-life warrior. I'd love to get a closer look at the riveting on his chest plate. If Pa could make that in the forge, we'd make I'd love to get a closer look at the riveting on his chest plate. If Pa could make that in the forge, we'd make a fortune. I wonder what monster material it's made out of. Hey, Cassius is here. Hello, Cassius. Welcome, welcome. We got both authors here in the chat. Yes. So Riftside launched yesterday. Congratulations to Henrik and Cassius. If you want to read the book, then definitely head on over to Amazon. There's a link in the description that'll take you right there. And it's exciting to see it out and about. And we'll hopefully get the audio to you. Well, we will get the audio to you as soon as possible. Hopefully within, the next couple months. And probably before the summer is what I'm aiming for. We're trying to keep the production light and lean. So yeah, definitely check it out if you enjoy reading on Kindle. Also, don't forget that there is voice or whisper sync. So if you do decide to pick up the Kindle, you're going to get the audiobook at a hefty discount, at a discount that, you probably don't even need to spend a credit. Most people wouldn't, because I think you get it for like $7.49 or something like that. So, yeah, go ahead and check that out. But congratulations, Henrik and Cassius. Way to go. And hello, Jaeger. So super busy listening in the background. And you're on your other account. Hey, all good, all good. And there we go. All right, well, let's keep on going. His sharp gaze swept over. His sharp gaze. Excuse me. Need a little bit of lubrication here. That's the way to do it. Listen while you do stuff. All right. Keep that off, actually. His sharp gaze swept over us. 30 faces. His sharp gaze swept over us. 30 faces in total. 15 adventurers and 15 scavengers. One day, I'd be among the adventurers, not relegated to scavenging duties, but that day was still a ways out. My gaze drifted past him to the massive shape dominating the horizon as he continued. The Twisted Titan was truly massive and spawned more monsters than any other dungeon within the rift. It was a colossal steel husk tree that stretched up into the clouds, its bulk somehow both magnificent and wrong at the same time. The right side looked dead, massive sheets of bark peeling away like rust on plate mail, while the left writhed. While the left writhed with life and purpose. Purple-black veins of corruption ran across both sides. We'll move in formation. The three adventurer groups take point. We'll move in formation. The 3 adventurer groups take point, creating a forward triangle. Scavenger teams will maintain a minimum 50-yard distance behind us. Us. Take point, creating a forward triangle. Scavenger teams will maintain a Scavenger teams will maintain a minimum 50-yard distance behind us and focus on their designated groups. Your job is resource gathering. Your job is resource gathering and trash mob cleanup only. Your job is resource gathering and trash mob cleanup only. Do not, I repeat, do not engage primary targets or attempt. Do not, I repeat, do not engage primary targets or attempt to assist in main combat scenarios. Greed and glory are your 2 worst enemies out here, not the monsters. Got it? Greed and glory. That's really interesting. There is an author. Oh my God, what is her name? I just was listening to her. Oh, so her name is Karen Horney. She's a German psychotherapist. I think one of the very first female psychotherapists to ever exist, or psychologist to ever exist. And so she was kind of a contemporary of, a little bit after the next generation of Freud. And she talks about glory a lot in her last book, and glory being literally the thing that is men's undoing, or that's the thing that creates neurosis. If you have this kind of idealized image of yourself, this glorious image of yourself, if I could just be stronger, if I could just be, if I could just be the guy with, 50 suits and, Armani and all these beautiful cars and all that stuff and a beautiful woman, blah, 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 that would be glorious. And that's what I want to achieve. And we all kind of have this sort of mechanic in us to, lesser or more degrees. But to really put more energy into that, Karen or Horney asserts that is what leads to neurosis. That is what leads to us getting, a little bit funky in the mind and how we approach life. It makes it harder for us to actually relax into who we actually are. So I was reading that actually while I was doing my pre-read on this book, and when that line popped up, I was like, oh, Karen Horney, interesting. Glory. There's like rules to the rift that maybe can be taken as parallels to rules for life, right? And going in, like, life is an adventure. Life is a delve, if you'll allow it to be, into the great unknown. And when you are delving in the great unknown, if you are greedy and glorious throughout that, you're gonna die, essentially, in the rift at least. But yeah, it's gonna lead to pain and suffering in life. So anyways, that's the depth that I'm drawing from that. My heart hammered against my ribs in excitement, my heart hammered against my ribs in excitement, and I nodded with a smile. 10 good carcasses is all I'm asking for, just enough to fill my spatial storage and get out alive. I scratched the magical tattoo on my left wrist as Edwin droned on about positioning and allocation. Maybe it was just... I scratched the magical tattoo on my left wrist as Edwin droned on about positioning and allocation. Maybe it was just my imagination, but an empty storage always felt off when I was... Maybe it was just my imagination, but an empty storage always felt off when I was Riftside. And now, more so than ever. The only dungeon runs I'd been to... Okay. So he says earlier that it's his first dungeon run. But here he's saying that he's been on other dungeon runs, but this is like his first official dungeon run. I'm wondering if that's something you want to tweak, Henrik or Cassius. The only dungeon runs I'd been to were those... The only dungeon runs I'd been to were those already cleared and mapped out. He's been doing scavenging Riftside, but never in a dungeon. Okay, so... Oh, 1 second. I'll make it so that you guys can hear the audio. There we go. Okay, so if he's never been in a dungeon, then you might want to change that, I think, eh? The only dungeon runs I'd been to were those already cleared out and mapped out. I could do quotations around dungeon runs, because it's not really a run, it's just he's going to scavenge and clear out. But I'm curious what your thoughts are. All right. It was as exciting and profitable. It was as exciting and profitable as forging horseshoes. But this was the real deal. Yeah, it might be fine the way I've got it here, because it's kind of... I've got it in quotes. I'll redo it, actually. The only dungeon runs I'd been to were those already cleared and mapped out. It was as exciting and profitable as forging horseshoes. But this was the real deal. Ma thought I was crazy, but I knew Pa would understand. He got the same way if too much time passed without him hammering metal, And since we were just starting out in a new place, we needed all the work we could get. I looked back at the branchway rift set in the center of the base camp. So it's the branchway rift. Did I miss that? I thought it was called the Twisted Titan. Maybe that's like a different way. I looked back at the branchway rift set in the center of the base camp. 6 months ago it had appeared. 6 months ago it had appeared. 6 months ago it had appeared, and all kinds of monsters poured into the... 6 months ago it had appeared, and all kinds of monsters poured... 6 months ago it had appeared, and all kinds of monsters poured into our world. After the Adventuring Guild and the Royal Army dealt with the initial surge, the king had sent out a call for pioneers to settle, defend, and explore the new rift. Couldn't have been better timed for us after what happened with the old forge. Yep, okay, got it. Yeah, I think I just picked that up. So the rift going between worlds is the branchway rift. And the Twisted Titan, is there a portal towards the Twisted Titan? Or do they just walk in? I guess we'll find out. But now we were here and ready to start a new life. But now we were here and ready to start a new life. A barely touched rift, unexplored and waiting to be looted. I frowned at the 40-foot wide circle standing straight, more perfectly round than anything forged, and damn, the thing was so thin from the side it could cut like nothing's. And damn, the thing was so thin from the side it could cut like nothing's business. If only they let me use it. If only they'd let me use it to trim steel, we could quadruple production. But they wouldn't let anyone mess with the rift. The liquid-like green surface was off limits for anything but passing through. I took a deep breath of the Riftside forest air. Okay, so there is a little portal into it, but it's not like the rifts between worlds. Okay, got it. I took a deep breath of the Riftside forest air. The steel husk trees made it taste differently. I took a deep breath of the Riftside forest air. The steel husk trees made it taste differently. Metallic and sharp, a bit like the forge. It was an acquired taste. One that I'd learned to enjoy. If there are no more questions, we leave by the west gate in 5 minutes. If there are no more questions, we leave by the west gate in 5 minutes. If there are no more questions, we leave by the west gate in 5 minutes. Gear up! If there are no more questions, we leave by the west gate in 5 minutes. Clink! If there are no more questions, we leave by the west gate in 5 minutes. Gear up! Edwin's words snapped me back to attention. Edwin's words snapped me back to attention as the various groups dissolved to make final preparations before we headed out. I wandered towards one of the Sentinel Station's 2 heavy gates, set in the palisade anchored between massive steel husks. Every day, monsters attacked the camp's defenses, seeking to enter our world. But so far they never managed to get through, but for the initial surge. There were never many of them, but day in, day out, the numbers steadily grew. Next to the gate stood the soul tablet. Next to the gate stood the soul tablet, and I joined. Next to the gate, next to the gate, next to the gate stood the soul tablet, and I joined the line of scavengers, slowly passing it by taking. Next to the gate stood the soul tablet, and I joined the line of scavengers, slowly passing it to taking. Next to the gate stood the soul tablet, and I joined the line of scavengers, slowly passing it by taking the chance to glance at their statistics before heading out. Slowly passing it by. Next to the gate stood the soul tablet, and I joined the line of scavengers. Next to the gate stood the soul tablet, and I joined the line of scavengers, slowly passing it by taking the chance to glance at their statistics before heading out. Some hid it from view, keeping their details a secret, while some bragged. When it was my turn, I touched my palm to the black surface, and my information appeared on the tablet. Name, Ash. Name, Ash Aldrich. Level 3, 0 out of 4. Strength 14. Agility 11. Vitality 12. Mind 11. Total stats 48. Alright, how do we do the system voice? What do we do for the system voice? So it's a very neutral system voice. It's not technically a voice. We could do it as Ash's inner monologue. That might be more interesting. But there's no, I would be adding personality that really isn't there. But let's try it. Name, Ash Aldrich. Level 3, 0 out of 4. Strength 14. Agility 11. Vitality 12. Mind 11. Total stats 48. The work in the smithy had paid off, and with 8 points above the average guy my age, I had nothing to be ashamed of. The work in the smithy had paid off, and with 8 points above the average guy my age, I had nothing to be ashamed of. Not caring if the next in line saw, I passed through the gate and started across the killing field, the others milling around me. 200 yards of cleared ground dotted the steel husk stumps, followed by the beautiful and thick forest. 200 yards of cleared ground dotted the steel-husked stumps. 200 yards of cleared ground dotted with 200 yards of cleared ground dotted with steel-husk stumps, followed by the beautiful and thick forest, one that was hiding untold riches. The metallic ring of steel husk breakers sounded from the 2 logging teams working under heavy guard. The metallic ring of steel husk breakers sounded from the 2 logging teams working under heavy guard. The metallic ring of steel husk breakers sounded from the 2 logging teams working under heavy guard to expand the wide open space and to bring the valuable material back through the rift to Dawnwatch. Stand firm. Stand firm until we're back, baby, Garrett said, and demonstrably kissed the scarred palisade, drawing laughs from both Finn and Nina. I shook my head at the leader of our scavenging group. I shook my head at the leader of our scavenger group, but couldn't quite hide a grin. Silly bastard. Don't judge me. Don't you judge me, he said, hefting his shield and spear. 20 years as a city guard, and 9 times out of 10 it got me home safely to my wife, every time. And the other? Finn asked, tapping his brass knuckles on his short sword. Only right for a man to visit a tavern now and then, ain't it? Erin, our fifth member, rolled her eyes at me as Finn laughed. Yes. Oh, it's not Annie. Oh, dear. So, JT. Just gotta change the casting here. I think I need a third audio track for me. There's lots of conversation happening around here. Oops, let's do this. Or maybe this one? Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. Fix that a little bit. Erin, our fifth member, rolled her eyes at me as Finn laughed. Yes, but... Nina's comment was interrupted by the clang. Nina's comment. Oh, maybe we get a bell here, actually. Bell. It's like a big, church bell, right? Let's actually get a bell. Nina's comment was interrupted by the clang of a bell, and everyone stopped. Once, my stomach tensed, and I reached across my shoulder, grabbing the haft of my two-handed axe. Then the bell rang again. Okay, I'm going to actually take this out. Then the bell rang again. And we're just going to have another clang. Twice. We waited for a long moment, but the third clang. We waited for a long moment. We waited for a long moment, but the third clang never came. That's for us! That's for us! Head out! Edwin called out, and I relaxed. The scouts that had gone to the Twisted Titan had returned, giving our group the all-clear that we could head out. You all ready for today? Garrett said, growing serious. You all ready for today? You all ready for today? Garrett said, growing serious as we left the camp's safety behind. Ready and eager, I said. We'll finally get a chance at proper loot. You heard the commander, Nina chided. Don't take any... I know. Our goal is to reduce the attacks on the camp and risk of them breaking through to the town. But be honest, Nina. Aren't you a little excited for some proper loot? Sure, but it won't do us no good if we die, she replied, and nudged me with her shoulder. Don't talk like that. Don't talk like that. Don't talk like that, Aaron said. Aaron said, tapping Nina's back with her composite short bow. Nobody dies on my watch, all right? Aaron said, tapping Nina's back with her composite short bow. Nobody dies on my watch, all right? I'll wrap you all up in bandage and make mummies out of you. No offense, but until you get a healing class, all I see is an archer, and not a good one at that. And not a good one at that. I'll add just add laugh. Okay, take that out. Hey! Hey! Garrett said. Ladies! Teammates! Teammates! He interlaced his fingers. Strong together, yeah? Yes, Garrett. Yes, Garrett. Yes, Garrett. Yes. Yes, Garrett. Yes, Garrett. The two said in unison. And I swear they both rolled their eyes, even though I couldn't see their faces. Now, when we get back, fight all you like. But out here, we all pull in the same direction, Nina said, exasperated, tapping her spear. It was an old repurposed lance that had seen. Nina said, exasperated, tapping her spear. It was an old repurposed lance that had seen better days, but it was good enough to ram through most enemies. That's right, Garrett said, and smiled at our healer. So, Aaron said, falling into step beside me, adjusting her blonde ponytail. Aaron said, falling into step beside me, adjusting her blonde ponytail. What's the blacksmith's apprentice looking for today? Materials, as always. Materials, always materials, I replied, and smiled up at the distant dungeon barely visible through the foliage. This is my chance to get something good, something to get our head above the water. Something to get our head above the water on the payments for the smithy. Maybe even a mind gem for myself. Just one? Of course, I'd like 4, getting me to next level, but statistically, I'll settle for 1. I see. A knowing smile tugged at her lips. You are such a rift head. Despite how comfortable I felt around Aaron, heat still crept up my neck, and I chuckled. We hadn't pushed it further than going out for a drink a few times, but there was definitely something. I may be young, but I wasn't blind. Just gonna change that a little bit. I may have been young, but I wasn't blind. I'm not sure what the correct tense is there. I'll just keep it as is. I may be young, but I wasn't blind. Aren't we old in a way? True. What about you? Aaron sighed, gazing in among the thick trees flanking the path. Don't tell Nina, but she's not wrong. Bet that hurts. You have no idea. Aaron bounced me with her elbow, grumbling as she... Aaron bounced me with her elbow, grumbling, as all. Aaron bounced me with her elbow, grumbling, as all she did was send herself stumbling. Damn you and your muscles. Don't damn the thing potentially standing... don't damn the thing potentially standing between you and a bunch of ravaging monsters, especially when it's this amazing. I said, and grinned at her. She huffed, but I knew it was good-natured. She huffed. All right, I'm actually going to... I can actually move a good chunk of that. She huffed, but I knew it was good-natured. So, how many do you need? I asked, relaxed, knowing the adventurers were spaced out in wide V formation out front. Too many. 3 more to level 5, and then, another 40 until I get level 10. Not to mention the class gems, Finn said, falling back to join us. We talking gems, right? I nodded. He held up 2 fingers. Then, I'll hit level 6. What about you guys? Garrett? Nina? Only one little sweet gem away from 9. Only one little sweet gem away from mine. Only one little sweet gem away from 9, Garrett said proudly. Oh, I hadn't heard, Nina said. Congratulations. Garrett held up his hand. No, don't jinx me. Nothing's done until it's done. And as Finn said, I'll still need the class gem. Better than me, at least, Nina said. I just hit level 5. Then you're only 3 gems ahead, Aaron said. I'll be a proper healer before you. Just wait and see. Difference is, I can fight now. I don't need to wait for my class to be useful, Nina muttered as she glared at Aaron. You're such a bitch, Aaron said. You're such a bitch. You're such a bitch. I shared a glance. They both broke into laughter. I shared a glance with Finn and just shrugged. So, what will you do when you get... what will you do when you get your class? He asked me. I'm going all the way up to 60. I said without a hint of hesitation. And I'm gonna get there before any of you even get to 30. Just watch me. Oh? Aaron raised an eyebrow. Didn't know you were that ambitious. What are you, what are you? What are you, what are you, what are you, some secret noble? What are you, some secret... What are you? What are you, some secret noble? No way, What are you, some secret noble? No way some blacksmith can afford enough mind gems to hit 60, let alone all the class gems for the breakthroughs. Let alone all the class gems for the breakthroughs. Let alone all the class gems for the breakthroughs. I just smiled at him. It didn't matter what people thought. I would get there through sheer will and tenacity. Unless a giant monster stepped on me or something. But I pushed that thought away, as I didn't want to jinx myself. What else? Might as well get yourself a soul-forged weapon, set up a new guild house, and carve out a rift for yourself. Nina laughed at how ridiculous her words. Nina laughed at how ridiculous her words sounded, but it didn't matter. Nina laughed at how ridiculous her words sounded, but it didn't matter. Nina laughed at how ridiculous her words sounded, but it didn't matter. They didn't know Ma had bought a 10th mind gem yesterday from Victor the alchemist, nor how I had used it to upgrade my spatial storage, nor how I had used it to upgrade my spatial storage. I'd be a higher level than Finn if I'd used the gems for level. I'd be higher level than Finn if I'd used the gems for level ups instead. I'd be higher level than Finn if I'd used the gems for level ups instead. But now, with twice the storage capacity, I would hopefully blaze ahead. Wonder who will notice my eye sigil first. Wonder who will notice my new eye sigil. Wonder who will notice my new eye sigil first. Wonder who will notice my new eye sigil first. Soon I'd leave the scavengers and join those up ahead, the adventurers. I looked at them, the ones who would slay the monsters, and thought of the looks they got, how people treated them, and the gear they wore. Brilliant. I wanted that too, yearned for it. Then I could truly help my family. More like a gong for the bells? Sure, okay. We'll experiment with it. The gongs are tricky because they've got such a long delay. It's more of a as opposed to a dong. But we might be able to combine the two as well and see what that sounds like. Then I could truly help my family, change their lives forever, and nobody would force us out again. As Garrett launched into another of his tales, something about a drunk noble and a chicken, Erin bumped me again. Are you scared? She whispered with a wink. Not really. I shook my head, lying. This close to a rift, the dungeon should be well within the level requirements for the adventurers. I think today is going to be one of the I think today is going to be one of the best and most profitable days of our lives. Any new monsters we managed to bring back home would pay multiples. Not all types of monsters. Any new monsters we managed to bring back home would pay multiples. Not all types of monsters made the run on the rifts. Not all types of monsters made a run on the rifts, and any new discoveries were highly valuable. The twisted titan loomed closer with every step, and somewhere within its depths, gold in the shape of monsters waited. A while later, we stood at the base. I'm going to throw in a chapter break there, chapter break. Just a little delay. Got some space. A while later, we stood at the base. A while later, we stood at the base. A while later, we stood at the base of the twisted titan. My head was tilted back until my neck hurt. There at its feet, the sheer wrongness of it hit harder than from the distance. All 30 of us gathered in loose clusters, our boots crunching on the dead-looking soil, mist curling around our feet. Of course it smells like mold and... Of course it smells of mold and death. Why wouldn't it? Ew. Nothing grew within 50 yards of the trunk. Nothing grew within 50 yards of the trunk, as if the tree itself was sapping all life away. If one of its gigantic branches broke off, it'd probably squash us all. Gods, wouldn't that be a way to go out, huh? Killed by a tree. Tall son of a bitch, ain't it? Garrett said. About the size of my... Short sword. Short sword. Short sword. Short sword. About the size of my... Nina finished for Finn. Alright, just gonna... Finn started. Just changing the order of that a little bit so that you get more of the interruption there. Nina finished for him, and Aaron chuckled. Nina finished for him, and Aaron chuckled as she checked her bow's string for the umpteenth. Nina finished for him, and Aaron chuckled as she checked her bow's string for the umpteenth time. I spit into the palms of my gloves and ran them along the haft of my axe, preparing for whatever was to come. We'd only encountered several small groups of monsters on our way to the dungeon. And they'd been easily taken care of and looted by the... We'd only encountered several small groups of monsters on our way to the dungeon, and they'd be easily... We'd only encountered several small groups of monsters on our way to the dungeon, and they'd been easily taken care of and looted by the adventurers. Two of the monsters managed to get through, but none had gone for our party. That only left more room in our storage. For any new type of monster. That only left more room in our storage for any new type of monster. Garrett shifted beside me, his spear tip tracking up along the tree. Quiet morning. Seems the scout spoke true, Aaron said. As long as we head back before a new wave can form, then we're... Gather! Commander Edwin's voice resounded. Form up! Form up by the portal! Form up! Form up by the portal! The gateway looked tiny against the Titan's base, but it still had to be at least the size of the branchway. Though this was a swirling darkness shot through with purple lightning. There was no green in sight. The corruption veins in the bark all seemed to flow toward it, like rivers of poison feeding a blackened sea. I suppressed a shiver, but a bit of fear was always good. Made us think twice before we did anything stupid. The commander raised his tower shield. Adventurers! Triangle formation! Since this is our first time in this dungeon, we stick to the basics. Watch your backs, call your targets, maintain sight lines. Now, let's show them what the people of Noros do to monsters! With a cheer, the 15 adventurers stepped forward, spreading into their 3 groups of 5. Heavy infantry in the front, heavy infantry in front, ranged support behind. Heavy infantry in front, ranged support behind. The practiced formations of people who knew their business. Their gear was solid. A few pieces forged by Pa's hands, and some even aided by my own. A sense of pride washed over me, and I smiled inwardly. Scavengers! Edwin continued. Minimum safe distance. Portal defense and looting are your priorities. If anything above a trash mob makes it past us, do not throw your lives away. Are we clear? Clear. Clear! 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 Garrett answered for our group. The other scavenger team leaders replied as well. Edwin nodded and stepped through the portal, the darkness swallowing him soundlessly. One by one, the adventurers followed. My heart hammered in my chest as our turn came. Finn went first, then Nina, Garrett, and Aaron. I stepped into the blackless nast. I stepped into the blackness last, and my world. I stepped into the blackness last, and my world twisted. Hey, Sin's here. Bill Underbridge is here. Hey, guys. How y'all doing? Here we go. That is the end of Chapter 1. End. 1. Voila. Good stuff. Everybody watching, how you doing? Pop off in the chat. Say hello. Let me know you're here. How's it sounding so far? What do you think? What do you think of the story? Are you excited to hear what happens next? What's gonna happen in the Twisted Titan? It's all gonna go fine, right? Just gonna be smooth. Hey, Rollo, good to see you. Smooth, no issues. There's no potential conflict that could happen. There's no potential issues that could go wrong on a dungeon run, right? Remember Leroy Jenkins. It all goes fine. Just remember Leroy Jenkins. Let us all remember. the great Leroy. You missed the first half. Ah, fair enough. Well, there was a lot of preamble in the first half. But you'll still be able to pick up pretty quickly what's going on, I think. San, how you doing? You working? Working away. Working away. Ba-doo, 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 boop. Doo. All right. Let's keep going. Yeah, we got news on Dead Tired 3 release. Before I get to it, 1 second here. Let me just double check the calendar. The calendar. Whoop. Dead Tired releases this month. Rollo. Pre-order goes up 15th. Tuesday the 15th, and the release is the 29th. So,
hang in there. It's going to be an absolute blast. You're going to love it. Good, so soon. Wonderful. All right, let's keep going. I'll just narrate the rest of this book as Harold. People would like that, right? Hello, everyone. I'm Harold. From another series. What? How dare you? How dare you say I cannot narrate this book?
Yeah, it was a tight little production. It went smoothly. Okay, I think now, book 3, we know what we're doing now. So it's easier to keep it moving. Okay, let's keep going. Chapter 2. I stumbled out into a hollow cavern of a room. I stumbled out into a hollow cavern of a room and immediately cleared my throat at the stench. I stumbled out into a hollow cavern of a room and immediately cleared my throat at the stench. For a moment I imagined myself standing in a rotting corpse, but it wasn't that of a monster, but a great tree. The hair on my arms stood on end as if the place was charged with electricity. The Titan's heartwood was missing, leaving a central shaft that vanished up into darkness like an oversized castle tower. The chamber stretched maybe 100 yards across, with a spiral path winding up the walls to an entrance in the ceiling far above. Bioluminescent fungi clung to the walls, casting everything in a pale blue light. Ancient tree rings glowed faintly, marking time and centuries. Sap oozed down the walls and pooled on the floor. A screech of chitin on wood yanked my attention back to where we were, and I steeled myself. With a twitch of my eye, I activated my sigil, and a gentle green glow appeared. Around a monster. They were ring beetles. Knee-high insects with armored shells and massive mandibles. A few had come out to battle the adventurers, scuttling across the wood like living drills, their legs ending in hooked claws that let them climb in all directions. Edwin's orders echoed around the room, and the insects charged him, his taunt driving them mad. They shrieked in unison, and then attacked. With the creatures scratching at the commander's armor and his tower shield, one of the other adventurers, a man in a conical hat, breathed out a cone of cold, slowing all their movement and attacking speed. The other adventurers waded in, ending the monsters in seconds. The other adventurers waded in, ending the monsters in seconds. Beetle bodies hit the ground after being slashed, smashed, or blown to pieces, with green ichor spraying everywhere. "Clear! Clear! Clear!" Edwin said, and sheathed his sword as a golden light surrounded him. Healing what little damage he'd taken. "The first group is dead! The first group is dead! Scavengers, grab the corpses! Adventurers, save your storages! We're going up to the next level! We're going up to the next level!" One of the other scavenger groups hurried forward. I recognized their leader, Marcus, a scarred man who'd lost an eye to a dusk attack last month. His team descended on the beetle corpses, and they vanished in seconds. "Those claws will be... those claws will be worth a fortune," one said. "I'm selling mine to the alchemists," another added. Green gooey ichor? Green gooey ichor? It has to be useful for potions. My fingers itched. My fingers itched to join them, but Garrett held us back. "Plenty more where that came from. Plenty more where that came from. Plenty more where those came from," he said quietly. Plenty more where those came from. Let them have this batch." He wasn't wrong. The further up we'd go, the more valuable the carcasses should be, as long as the adventurers kept pushing and didn't turn back before we got our fill. As long as the adventurers kept pushing and didn't turn back before we got our fill. Considering the whole purpose of this expedition, I didn't doubt we'd be here for a few hours at least. Nina leaned on her spear and smiled. "Who thought I'd ever fight in a goddamn tree? What I wouldn't give to find beautiful, roiling grasslands, Riftside, and then a horse who wouldn't go mad while passing through the portal." "Why'd you come here, then?" I asked. If you like grassland, why not head to the humming void? Rift? We used to live there, flat as an anvil's face." "You don't get it. No point being in the grassland without proper cavalry. I just miss horses is all. Damn portal corruption. Did I tell you about the noble bastard who bought my best gelding and brought it through as a test? As if the hundreds of tests before hadn't been enough. Once I get my class, if I see him again..." I tuned them out, watching the ringed walls. I think this one probably makes sense for us to say tuned her out, because she's just talking to herself. So I'm just going to make a switch here. If you don't mind, if you think it should be them, then I will. It's I understand where they're kind of talking to the group, but if someone else had asked, like, "Why'd you come here then it'd be different." But it's like Nina and Ash are just talking directly to one another. So I think it'll sound a little bit better if it's turned her out. But I can always change it, so let me know. I tuned her out, watching the ringed walls. Marcus's group had stored the beetles. But then actually changing it to her makes him sound like a total dick. As if he's the only one talking to her. So never mind. Never mind. All of that stuff. I tuned them out, watching the ringed walls. I tuned them out, watching the ringed walls. Marcus's group had stored the beetles. And were preparing to move on. The third team, led by a giant grumpy guy named Rosek, who I'd never seen smile once, kept watch with us. Steel rang on wood above, followed by inhuman screeches. We all tensed, weapons rising. The whomp of an explosive spell echoed. The whomp of an explosive spell echoed down the spiral path, mixing with shouts and the wet sounds of violence. "Form up! Form up!" Garrett snapped. Only attack trash mobs if they come through." I stepped back and raised my axe. One of the main reasons why adventurers brought us was to guard the path out. Nobody wanted to get cut off and be trapped in a dungeon. Though in all honesty, there wasn't much we could do but kill the weakest of monsters. Sometimes that was enough. Sometimes that was enough. Just making sure they didn't all gather in a single spot and flank the adventurers. "Who died and made you captain? Who died?" Is he younger? How old is Marcus? Let's see. Who do I picture? Shia LaBeouf. "Who died and made you captain?" Marcus shot back, his remaining eye narrowing. Rasik stepped forward, his scar-covered arms crossed. "We take orders from Commander Edwin. Not some ex-guard. The portal needs to..." Okay, I think that's Marcus. Okay, I'm actually a little confused here. "We take orders from Commander Edwin, not some ex-guard." And then is it Garrett who says, "The portal needs to..." Don't tell me what and... Oh. Yeah, okay, no, that's not... So I think that's... So... Is it Marcus who says, "We take orders from Commander Edwin, not some ex-guard"? Or is it Rasik who says that? Oh, okay, no, I think I got it. So it's Rasik, then Marcus, and then Rasik again, I think. "We take orders from Commander Ed. We take orders from Commander Edwin. We take orders from Commander Edwin, not some ex-guard." The portal needs to be... The portal needs to... I'm trying to... "We take orders from Commander Edwin, not some ex... We take orders from Commander Edwin, not some ex-guard." Don't tell me what and... Don't tell me what and... Oh no, that's supposed to be Marcus. I'm confused. Henrik, there's 3 lines here. One of them is, "We take orders from Commander Edwin, not some ex-guard." Yeah, that's Rasik, okay. And then Marcus says... Okay, so then I think there's supposed to be like So Marcus continued to argue. Marcus's line is, "The portal needs to," or "Don't tell me what and." Which one's Marcus's line? That's what I'm confused by. Who died and made you captain? Oh, that is Garrett. Ah, okay. The portal needs to don't tell me what and yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about this section. Marcus continued to argue, cutting him off. Marcus continued. No, no, you don't tell me what. There we go. I'm just gonna do it this way. So it's three of them talking. Okay, so okay, there's three of them talking. Then Nina's next line is both of you shut it. So should we change that to shut it, you guys, or something like that? So it's them three talking. Okay, so it is Marcus, and then it is Garrett, the portal. He's talking about the portal. The portal, the portal, the portal needs to. Don't you tell me what and. Marcus can. Shut it, you guys! All right. Oops. Great. All right. All right. Thank you. Shut it, you guys! Listen! The fighting above. The fighting above had stopped. My heart was beating fast as I strained to hear what was going on up there. Scavengers! Edwin's voice boomed down. First platform! Move! We scrambled up the spiral path, boots slipping on sap-slick wood. The path wound up and up until my eggs are burning. The path wound up and up until my legs burned. The path wound up and up until my legs burned, but I kept on running. If anyone lagged behind, they'd either be left by themselves or pull the entire party back. I really should jog more, make sure I could keep up. I really should jog more, make sure I can keep up. After a minute, we reached a broad platform carved into the living wood. It was so straight and round that it looked as if someone had carved it all out by hand. Two massive branches split off there, each one as wide as a city street. Both tunnels vanished into darkness. Corpses lay strewn against the walls of the platform, burned. I counted 6 carcasses, my new sigil naming them as branch walkers. Their impossibly long limbs were twisted in death, and joints bent backward, bodies folded in ways that made my stomach turn. Beside them lay 7 sap-seekers, their crystalline eyes dark and lifeless. Blue blood was mixed with golden sap on the platform's floor. My sigil provided the names, but once dead, the monsters had no glow to indicate their power relative to my own. The chance of them being anything but green or yellowish was very small, which meant that even we could fight them. Edwin stood at the center, his shield bearing new scrapes. Edwin stood at the center, his shield bearing new scrapes. Easy enough fight. We've got a tactical situation. Easy enough fight, but we've got a tactical situation. We can't leave these branches unchecked. We can't leave these branches unchecked. Too much risk of being flanked. However, the resistance has been minimal so far. He planted his shield on the ground and leaned against it. New plan! My team continues up to scout the next platform. Teams of 2 and 3 take a branch each, followed by one scavenger group. Garrett, your group stays here. Gather the carcasses, and then move up to the next floor when we're done. Garrett, your group stays here. Gather the carcasses, and then move up to the next floor when we're done. Questions? None came, as there wasn't much to say. We were to follow orders and gather as many carcasses as we could. And that was an order I intended. We were to follow orders and gather as many carcasses as we could. And that was an order I intended to follow to the letter. As they headed out, Garrett stepped into the middle of the floor and caught our attention. No greed. No greed now, yeah? Equal division until we each got our 5. Then we get the chance to swap out corpses for new ones, starting with the highest level. Equal division until we each got our 5. Then we get the chance to swap out corpses. Equal division until we each got our 5. Then we get to equal division until we each got our 5. Then we get to equal division until we each got our 5. Then we get the chance to swap out corpses for new ones, starting with the highest level. So once we're all full, you'll take the best corpse? I asked. So once we're all full, you'll take the best corpse? I asked. Yes. Yes, because I am the highest level. And I'm the lowest. And I'm the lowest. I said with a flat stare. Yes. But we follow standard looting rules. Once I accept a new corpse, I'm at the bottom of the list until you all accept a new one. Fine. But that's only once everyone's storage is full. Right? I asked again, wanting to make sure everyone heard it. Of course. So, if you all have filled your storage and something awesome drops, why would the adventurers leave something awesome? It'll be all trash mobs for us, Nina said, sounding a bit annoyed by my questioning. Just agreeing on the rules, I said, raising my hands as the adventurers ascended toward the next floor. As I was saying, if something awesome drops, anyone with a free slot gets first dibs. Sure, Garrett said. But you don't get to leave carcasses behind just to keep a free slot. But you don't get to leave carcasses behind just to keep a slot free. I nodded. Of course. We split the monsters, each getting a branch walker and a sap seeker, with Garrett taking the additional branch walker, while Nina and Finn took an extra sap seeker. "Wonder what they'll be used for," Erin said as she stored a branch walker, her spatial storage tattoo glowing faintly on her left wrist with each transfer. "With the way the limbs work, maybe the Boyers will want their tendons?" "I bet alchemists will want the sap seeker's eyes. Finn said. Notice how they look like crystals? Or maybe the enchanters? Nina shrugged. "Could make for pretty jewelry. Nobles like pretty." "I don't care either way," I said. I'm bringing one of each to my paw to butcher up. And see what they can be used for." "Pretty exciting, isn't it?" Erin asked. "Getting to see new monsters before anyone else?" "Why did they wait so long to go for this dungeon?" Nina asked. "So far, this is all bottom-tier monsters? I've seen adventurers struggle worse with stuff in the killing field." Pa had been wondering the same. It didn't make sense for the guild to let the portal be attacked again and again when they could at least attempt to clear the dungeon and slow the monster waves. It would give the town much-needed breathing space. Not that I was complaining about them waiting until today. My upgraded inventory had been my ticket to joining, the commander knowing full well the more resources we brought back, the stronger we'd all grow, despite him harping on about not focusing on loot. Could be they were farming the monsters and letting people grind levels out quicker, I said with a shrug. Easy loot when they have to just step out of the walls and gather the carcasses instead of going out and hunting monsters. It's slowing the town's development. And Garrett trailed off, and it's slowing the town's development, and Garrett trailed off as an explosion sounded from the left branch. Before we could react, roars and sounds of combat echoed down from the right, almost as if both sides had been attacked simultaneously. I held my breath, listening to steel meeting chitin and steel-like bark armor, to screams both human and otherwise, to the creaking. I held my breath, listening to steel meeting chitin and steel-like bark armor, to screams, both human and otherwise, to the creaking of the living wood around us. I stepped closer to Erin, axe firmly in hand, and glanced upwards. Suddenly, Garrett's voice rang out as he taunted, but it was followed by a curse. "Incoming! They're in the wood!" Movement flickered along the wall. Four bulbs like peas in a pod moving inside the wall. "Loose!" I said, and Erin sent an arrow straight at the closest, thudding into the wood. Green goo ran down the haft to drip from the fletching, but whatever was inside, the wall kept moving. "Form up!" Garrett's voice cracked like a whip, and we took our spots around Aaron, with Garrett at the front with his shield at the ready. The bulbs reached our level, and 4 ring beetles blasted from the wall, surrounded by white liquid, their shells gleaming wet. Their clawed limbs scored the wood as they scuttled toward us. I activated my sigil again, just to make sure. They were surrounded by a light green glow that meant we should be able to take them. Garrett stabbed at the first, piercing straight through its face. I went left, axe swinging in an overhead chop at a bug attempting to flank him, catching it just behind the head. The blade bit deep, nearly killing it, but got stuck in the armored shell. To my right, Nina let out a battle cry of her own as I yanked on my weapon. To my right, Nina let out, to my right, Nina let out, to my right, Nina let out a battle cry of her own as I yanked on my weapon, but the bug stubbornly stayed attached. Come on! I turned to see Nina falling to the ground, scooting backward, her lance held horizontally in front of her, and a beetle's mandibles clicking against it. Aaron drew and loosed another arrow, but it ricocheted off the creature's carapace. Double check that. Yeah, it is carapace, right? Garrett and Finn were busy with the fourth, and unable to help. Muscles fighting to free my weapon, I heaved on the axe, lifting the entire bug into the air, legs feebly moving. 1 step. 2 steps. My arms and back burned with every move. With a roar, I brought the axe-bug combo down like a sledgehammer on the bug attacking Nina. The axe crunched through, coming loose as it killed one and stunned the other. Nina scrambled back and stood as I raised my axe and cleft the bug's face. like a log. My heart thundered in my throat as if I'd relocated. Pa's anvil after that stunt. I quickly turned to see Finn's short sword cut across the final monster's eyes, blinding it before Garrett's spear found the softer underbelly. His stats were more than a match for the trash mob. For a moment, silence fell. And then I cheered. Finn joined me, then the others. Suddenly, Edwin came jogging down the ramp, but slowed upon seeing us. You all right? Sounded like you were getting slaughtered down here. You all right? Sounded like you were getting slaughtered down here. You all right? Sounded like you were getting slaughtered down there. Garrett waved a hand at him. All good, Commander. All good, Commander. Just 4 beetles and the exhilaration of combat. Just 4 beetles and the exhilaration of combat. Just 4 beetles and the exhilaration of combat. I grinned up at the adventurer, my axe dripping with goo. I grinned up at the adventurer, my axe dripping with goo. He shook his head, but a grin was plastered across his face. Good to hear, but get your asses up here. Good to hear, but get your asses up here. We've got a problem. We stored the corpses, everyone getting their 3rd, with Garrett and Nina getting their 4th, and then headed up. I took a deep breath and smiled at Aaron, who smiled back. I took a deep breath and smiled at Aaron, who smiled back. This is what I wanted. This is what it would feel like all the way up to level 60. So I took it all in. Burning muscles, monster blood, and all. I almost gagged as we stepped onto the next platform. I almost gagged as we stepped onto the next platform at the stench. I almost gagged as we stepped onto the next platform at the stench coming from the monsters. "Take them, quick," Edwin said, standing in the opening of a branch, nodding at the 5 monster corpses. Blightpedes, as my sigil told me, were strewn across the platform. 9 feet long, rotting centipedes, like black husks with no legs, only a wide opening in the front filled with an uncomfortable amount of teeth. Brown liquid oozed from their wounds, as if someone had taken a wet crap in a bag and poked it full of holes. The adventurers held their noses, standing just inside another 2 branches, as far from the bodies as possible. The adventurers held their noses, standing just inside another 2 branches, as far from the bodies as possible. "Oh, hurry, damn it!" the wizard said, waving his staff at us. If this stink sets my good robe, if this stink sets in my good robe, I might never get it out. One each, Garrett said, and moved to store his. I rushed over to the largest one and swiftly touched it and swiped it into my inventory. It really did feel like a crap-filled bag, and I hated it. Aaron! "Aaron!" Garrett said when she prodded hers with a toe. "Aaron!" Garrett said when she prodded hers with a toe but made no move to grab it. It's icky. God damn it. Finn said, and stalked over, grabbing hers as well. "And I'm keeping it. Something that's stinky has to be valuable. And I'm keeping it. Something this stinky has to be valuable." "You are more than welcome to it," Aaron said, gagging as Nina laughed at her. Aaron said, gagging as Nina laughed at her. "Problem solved, Commander. Garrett said, and touched a hand to his helmet. Edwin barked out a laugh. "Ha! That was just courtesy. Ha! That was just courtesy, Garrett. You'll smell worse as an adventurer, but Benedict is a bit particular about his clothing, aren't you?" That was just a courtesy. Garrett. You'll smell worse as an adventurer, but Benedict is a bit particular about his clothing, aren't you? Hey, the wizard said. The ladies like sharply dressed then, right? The ladies like sharply dressed men, right? Besides, I've got an image to uphold. He looked at Aaron and smiled. Besides, I've got an image to uphold. He looked at Aaron and smiled, angling his coned hat. Sure, but I prefer them to be younger than my father. Bah! He waved a hand. Underneath his beard. Underneath this beard, my face is like a... Underneath this beard, my face is like a... Enough! 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 Edwin said, and everyone quieted. Edwin said, and everyone quieted. As I said, the smell wasn't the problem. As I said, the smell wasn't the problem. Wasn't. What? As I said, the smell. As I said, the smell wasn't the problem. That is. He pointed upwards. And we all looked up. Monster muck. Oh, monster muck. Monster muck. Monster muck. Oh, monster muck. Oh, monster muck, Finn said. Oh, monster muck. Finn said. Far above was another flat roof made all out of wood, with tiny glowing mushrooms dotting it. Far above was another flat roof made all out of wood, with tiny glowing mushrooms dotting it. What it lacked was any kind of opening. And that's when I realized that the platform even lacked a proper walkway. It's a labyrinth, I said, looking around at the tree branches. The commander nodded, and his scarred face pulled tight as he pursed his lips. We're at a break point. We either need to pause here... and wait for the other groups to catch up, or we go back. We either need to pause here and wait for the other groups to catch up, or go back down and help them clear their branches. Or go back. We either need to pause here and wait for the other groups to catch up. Or we go back down and help them clear their branches. Why? The combat is nothing, Benedict said. Just trash mobs. Might as well be killing flies. I bet there's something amazing up there on the highest floors. Something that... No glory chasing, Edwin said. No glory chasing, Edwin said. Oh, I like the first one better. Edwin said, eyeing the three branches, fingers tapping a rhythm on his shield. The man had it all, levels, gear, and skill, but the rumor said it hadn't come cheap. They said he'd lost a lot of friends ever since he started adventuring. And every time he lost someone, the resolve to be a better commander only grew. Can we afford to wait? Can we afford to wait? The warrior in Edwin's group said. The warrior in Edwin's group said. You said it yourself. We need to be efficient. If we take too long... All right. It is time to do some voice references. Rowan, because there's a lot of side characters coming up whose voices I probably won't remember very easily. Rowan, I'll do it's Benedict. Edwin. Then we might get caught in a monster wave. Then we might get caught in a monster wave. Then we might get caught in a monster wave. Today's wave never came. Then if we take too long, then we might get caught in a monster wave. Today's wave never came. Then we might get caught in a monster wave. Today's wave never came. Then we might get caught in a monster wave. Today's wave never came. It's kind of a cool voice for Alex. I can feel my eggs when I'm with you, but I love it. Ooh, I can feel my legs when I can feel my legs, but I love it. I can feel my eggs when I'm with you, but I love it, and I love it, my eggs. You get the point. Their healer said. He was an old man with a long silver beard, yet moved like someone in their prime. Sentinel Station will have to weather it without us. Sentinel Station will have to weather it without us, and we'll get the joy of... Sentinel Station will have to weather it without us. And Sentinel Station will have to weather it without us, and we'll get the joy of finding out if the monsters first hunt before charging mindlessly at the rift. Sentinel Station will have to weather it without us, and we'll get the joy of finding out if the monsters first hunt before charging mindlessly at the rift. I glanced at the right branch. It was like a polished wooden floor, one streaked with black rot. I studied it for a long moment, and then shook my head. The tree was a mystery all in itself, and no matter how much I'd love to explore every branch, it wasn't meant to be. The tree was a mystery all in itself, and no matter how much I'd love to explore every branch, it wasn't meant to be. I glanced at the two leading left once I pushed the thought away. Which one was supposed to lead up? Nina began speaking, but Garrett silenced her with a look. Benedict threw his arms up. What the hell are we waiting for? Come on, let's do something! Anything! The right decision, Edwin said, lifting his shield with a sigh. Edwin said, lifting his shield with a sigh, would be to return to the previous intersection. And let Shay find the good stuff. Benedict huffed at where the dead centipedes had been. Edwin! We could two-man these trash mobs easily, you and me. Hell. Edwin, we could two-man these trash mobs easily, you and me. Hell, the scavenger team has kicked their ass. Hell, the scavenger team has kicked their ass. A poor argument for diving ahead, Edwin said. You've got a point, but the situation remains. We can't leave our flank open. The scavenger party would be overrun. Not just that, but I'm a bit disappointed, Benedict. Greed doesn't suit you. My spatial storage was barely half full. If Edwin decided to wait until the others rejoined, what loot would I miss out on? Maybe we'd even end up calling it a day before I'd get to fill up. I traded a glance with Garrett and nodded. We could do this. I didn't want to go home with an empty storage. None of us did. Commander, Garrett said, raising a hand. We can definitely hold this platform, unless a monster variant shows up. Totally, Commander, I chimed in. We'll do right by everyone. And since there are 3 branches here, you can clear out one before the others arrive. If they catch up... Oh, I think that's Garrett now. And since there are 3 branches here, you can clear one out before the others arrive. If they catch up, we'll send them down the other tunnels. Too risky. Too risky, the commander replied. Too risky. Too risky, the commander replied. His jaw tightened. No offense, but... We easily killed 4, I said, hefting my axe. They went down like rotted wood. Trust me, we'll have your backs or we die trying. Yes, but only because... but only because they were trash mobs. Edwin said calmly but firmly. Still, he stared out into the branch ahead of us. Who knows what else lurks in there? Then you won't go far, Garrett said. And we'll be fine holding this place. So far the monsters haven't been charging up or down the branches on their own, right? Erin fidgeted with her bow beside me. Just one branch, Benedict said, sighing theatrically. We can handle it. They can handle it. You've seen how easy it is. Just think about what we might find. And that, my good man, is exactly what I'm worried about, Edwin said, raising his voice. And that, my good man, is exactly what I'm worried about, Edwin said, raising his voice. He stood there for a short moment, obviously lost in thought, but then straightened. Very well, adventurers. On me. Very well. Adventurers, on me. Garrett, watch our backs, but don't be afraid to retreat if things get hairy. We'll fight our way back if we must. Yes, Commander, Garrett said, straightening to attention. It was probably a habit from his guard days. I smiled, my hand tightening around the axe's shaft. Once they cleared out a few monsters, they'd have to call us in to store the carcasses. Once they cleared out a few monsters, they'd have to call us in to store the carcasses. Perfect. We move slow. We move slow, Edwin said, turning to his team. Then his eyes settled on Benedict. If anything feels wrong, sounds wrong, or looks wrong, we're falling back. Is that understood? Benedict grinned as he held up his staff. I swear I saw ice crystals forming in his beard. They won't know what froze them. Okay then. Edwin turned from his team and pointed at the right passage. Let's go up this. Left is best. Left is best. Left is best. Left is best, Benedict said. Fine. Left it is. Keep your shields up and your eyes open. No glory hunting. There we go. Sound Booth Theater, the musical. Blam 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 all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's too many. Let's end it let's say 200. Otherwise there's going to be 50 million sets here. Oh, lordy. Okay, good. Moving along. It's been 2 hours here. Just adjust the... There we go. Yeah, it's coming together. It's sounding good. Oh, I know. Rock. He's so far. There's going to be so much narration. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the cold reads. Usually I do like a 4-part cold reads. And then I'm going to, maybe what I'll do is when I get to Rock, if I haven't gotten to him in the cold reads yet, I will do a special Rock stream of just the first Rock chapters. Chapter 3. Okay. Would I be able to live stream this to TikTok? I don't think... Oh, you know what? Our TikTok... We do have over 1,000 followers, but you need 1,000 followers to TikTok, so I can't do that yet because I don't have 1,000 followers. But you know what? Maybe I should start getting my TikTok up and running. That would be good. Oh, there we go. There was a little piece of... Oh, 1 second. That's fine. All right, can still see me okay. Yeah, TikTok Live is really good for discovery. Yeah, maybe I'll work towards that. That's good to know. Thanks for the tip. Chapter 3. The branch walker's shriek cut off as my axe. The branch walker's shriek cut off as my axe sank deep into the bark-like skin at its neck, nearly cleaving its head from its body. The branch walker's shriek cut off. The branch walker's shriek cut off. The branch walker's shriek cut off as my axe sank deep into the bark-like skin at its neck, nearly. The branch walker's shriek cut off as my axe sank. The branch walker's shriek cut off as my axe sank deep into the bark-like skin at its neck, nearly cleaving head from body. Its claws ceased scrabbling at Garrett's shield, and the legs spasmed as it collapsed. Goo spattered onto the ground as I hopped backed. Goo splattered onto the ground as I hopped back. Goo splattered onto the ground as I hopped back, wrestling my axe out. Good work. Good work, Garrett said as he straightened. Nina lowered her spear, the point dark with monster sap, and Finn wiped his short sword clean with a rag. Yes! Erin pumped her fist, an arrow still nocked but not drawn. Erin pumped her fist, an arrow still nocked but not drawn. Garrett shrugged the corpse off his shield and gave his spear a flourish. 5 down. 5 down. How many more to... 5 down, and, how many more to go? He held up his hand for a high five. 5 down, and how many more to go? He held up his hand for a high five. I slapped his palm, grinning. Doesn't matter. We'll handle them. Yeah! Doesn't matter. We'll handle them. Scavengers! Edwin's voice echoed from far down the left branch. Status! 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 All clear, Garrett called back. Just a couple of wooden dudes and 3 crystal-eyed mini-monsters from the right branch. Nothing we couldn't handle. Branch walkers, I said, wiping ichor from my axe, unable to resist. The adventurers would know the monsters' names. Having upgraded their spatial storage. And sap seekers. You sure? Garrett asked, and I nodded. Branch walkers! And sap seekers. You sure? Branch walkers and sap seekers. Garrett shouted. All dead. Good work. Good work. Good work. Good work. Edwin's voice. Edwin's voice faded. Edwin's voice faded. Hold your position! Hold your position! Hold your position! Hold your position! Hold on. Hold your position! Hold your position! Hold your position! Hey, Erin said, stepping closer, a funny look on her face. How'd you know what they're called? How'd you know what they're called? Here it comes. It was all I could do to keep the smile from my face. Just, you know. I tried to look anywhere but at her intense green eyes. I tried to look anywhere but at her intense green eyes. Overheard the adventurers? What were those stinky worm things called, then? She asked, crossing her arms. The ones from earlier? She asked, crossing her arms. 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 The ones from earlier. The ones from earlier? Blightpedes, I said, unable to hold back a small smile. Her eyes went wide. I know the adventurers didn't tell us that. We were all together when... She grabbed my shoulders. She grabbed my shoulders and yanked me close. Her touch. She grabbed my shoulders and yanked me close. Her touch made my heart skip. Her touch made my heart skip as the scent of leather and herbs filled my nose. Her touch made my heart skip as the scent of leather and herbs filled my nose. Show me! Activate it! How can she smell this good during a dungeon? How can she smell this good during a dungeon run? No, don't even go there. No, don't even go there. There will be enough time once you're both home safe and well. I don't know what you're talking about. The eye sigil, show me! She shook me slightly, her face inches from mine. Now! Unable to hide my grin any longer, I activated the mark and the Unable to hide my grin any longer, I activated the mark and the tattoo lit up. Erin shrieked. Oh! Erin shrieked and jumped back. Erin shrieked and jumped back, clapping. Erin shrieked and jumped back, clapping her hands excitedly. Not many scavengers invested in their spatial storages, but it doubled the odds. You upgraded your spatial storage, you sneaky bastard! She slapped my shoulder hard enough it had to sting. She slapped my shoulder hard enough it had to sting her palm. She slapped my shoulder hard enough it had to sting her palm. When? How? Why didn't you tell us? We did it last night. We did it last night, I said, taking her stinging hand and gently rubbing it. And, I wanted to see how long it would take for someone to notice. Or you wanted to make sure the loot rules... Or you wanted to make sure the loot rules were stacked in your favor first. Well played, mate. And don't worry, a deal's a deal. You fill your slots before we start trading up. Thanks. Thanks. I touched the corner of my eye. What's it look like? I haven't had a chance to see it properly. Aaron leaned in close again, studying the mark. It's pretty cool, like a triangle pointing downward with a short line crossing through the middle. I'd never notice it from afar, unless you activate it. She traced the air near my face. Makes you even more handsome, actually. She thinks I'm handsome? Well, yeah, of course she does. Just look at my muscles from all the smithing and swinging an axe around. More handsome because he's about to get rich, Nina said, and Finn joined her in laughing. Oh! Oh! More handsome because he's about to get rich. Oh! 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 Nina said, and Finn joined her in laughing. Seriously, though, smart move. Thanks, guys, I said, smiling. It'll all be good for Dawnwatch. Then I rubbed my hands. Then I rubbed my hands together. So, about this loot. Ha! 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 Garrett laughed. Aaron, you and Ash take one branch walker and one sapseeker each, with the last sapseeker going to him. Then all five each, except... Then I'll have five each, except... Then I'll have five each, except... He pointed a finger at me. You, with 7, you cheeky bastard, you. I clapped Aaron on the back and went to swipe the carcasses into my storage, noting how she had no trouble storing these less stinky monsters. I clapped Aaron on the back and went to swipe the carcasses into my storage, noting how she had no trouble storing these less stinky monsters. Can't believe we've all... Well, not Ash. Can't believe we've all... Well, not Ash, but the rest of us have a full inventory with unknown monsters, Finn said, smiling. What you think they'd be worth, eh? What you think they'll be worth, eh? If anything. You never know with these things. What you think they'll be worth, eh? If anything. You never know with these things. A lot, Garrett said, peering into the right tunnel. These 5 will get me the mind gem I need. For level 9 easily. Even if none of them yields one directly. What class are you going to go for once you get the gem? Nina asked. I eyed him too for a moment, genuinely curious what he was going for. Garrett raised his eyebrows and shook his spear and shield. Hello? What do you think? Hello? 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 What do you think?
Fine. What about you, Finn?
Anything I can get my hands on. Anything I can get me hands on. Anything I can get me hands on.
What?
What? Why? Why? You on the run? Why? You on the run and need the class pardon or something? Why? You on the run and need the class pardon or something? I bumped him with my shoulder, chuckling. The smile dropped from Finn's face. His shoulders tensed and something cold flickered in his eyes. Watch your mouth, apprentice. Watch your mouth, apprentice. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, apprentice. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, apprentice. The tone of his voice made my stomach drop. Shit. He is on the run, isn't he? Back off. Back off, Finn. I kept my voice steady, though my pulse quickened. I didn't know, and I don't care. Yeah? Well, maybe I don't like Yeah? Well, maybe I don't like people making assumptions about me. Yeah? Yeah? Well, maybe I don't like people making... Yeah? Yeah? Well, maybe I don't like people making assumptions about me, eh? He jabbed a finger into my chest. You think you know me? You think you're better than me because your daddy... You think you know me? You think you know me? You think you're better than me because your daddy gave you a fancy tattoo? You think you're better than me? Think you're better. You think you know me? You think you know me? You think you're better than me because your dad gave you a fancy tattoo? You think you know me? Think you're better than me because your daddy gave you a fancy tattoo? Tattoo? You think you know me? You think you know me? You think you're better than me because your daddy gave you a fancy tattoo? He's not my... I caught myself, took a breath, and squared my shoulders. Look, how could I know? We're on the frontier here, a pioneer's past. We're on the frontier here. A pioneer's past is just that. Past. It stays behind once they come out here. Now, I got no problems with you, Finn. Now, I've got no problems with you, Finn, as long as you've got no problems with me. We're all just trying to get by, right? Finn's jaw worked as he studied my face. Finn's jaw worked as he studied my face. The tension hung thick. The tension hung thick in the air, and Nina and Aaron shifted uncomfortably. Garrett's hand stayed steady on his spear, but he didn't move to intervene, and there was no way I was about to back down. After what felt like forever, Finn's shoulders relaxed slightly. Yeah, he said, running a hand through his hair. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry for snapping. Ain't nothing bad. I just caught by surprise is all. I just got caught by surprise is all that. I just got caught by surprise is all. He gave a weak smile. Guess I'm still getting used to that old fresh start. Guess I'm still getting used to that old fresh start thing. We all are, I said, offering my hand. He removed the brass knuckle before clasping it firmly and nodding at me. Speaking of fresh starts, Garrett said. Speaking of fresh starts. Garrett said, clearly eager to move past the tension. Speaking of fresh starts, Garrett said. Clearly eager to move past the tension. What class are you aiming for, Nina? We all know Aaron's gonna be a healer. Nina's eyes lit up.
Sorcerer. Or warlock. Any caster, really. I prefer to blow the bugs up from afar. Really?
Aaron lowered her bow.
I thought you'd go for something more stabby. Nah,
Nina twirled her spear.
I'm going to be a mounted mage.
But...
No, I know they can't survive the corruption, but there's gotta be something Riftside I can ride.
I caught Garrett's eye and waggled my eyebrows. Something to ride, eh?
Oh, grow up!
Nina swatted at me with her spear shaft. Never! I ducked, laughing, and was glad to see Finn crack a smile. What about you? Finn asked, the earlier edge gone from his voice. What's the great blacksmith's apprentice planning? Eh? I straightened and lifted my axe, giving it a flourish. Warrior.
Tank good damage.
Aaron tilted her head. I paused. Honestly, I haven't decided. But I like to kill things, so probably damage dealer. I also like the idea of protecting the group, but a level 60 damage... I also like the idea of protecting the group, but a level 60 damage dealer? Whew. I saw one once.
No way,
Nina said. Yes way. I paced around the room, glancing from one branch to the next, listening to the distant sounds of fighting from Edwin's group. Below us, all was still quiet. When I was 14, Madrigal Ironweave saved our street during a surge. Full plate armor, black with gold trim, and an axe blazing like lightning, and confidence to match. When he struck, monsters twice his size just came apart around his axe. Even the ground cracked when he activated his skills, killing them by the dozens.
Really?
Aaron asked, poking me with a finger in my shoulder.
You never said anything about that.
I caught myself, gesturing with my axe, and lowered it. Why would I? It's not like we share everything, right? And yes, that's the level 60 warrior. I'm aiming for. That kind of presence. That kind of power.
Huh. Interesting. Have you ever seen him again?
Aaron asked, ignoring my closeness comment. I shook my head. Nope. I try to follow the news about him, though there isn't much known about the guy. You know how it is with the higher levels. Most of them don't like to be in the spotlight.
Yeah, they...
A scream echoed out from the tunnel Edwin and the others had entered. For a moment we all froze before I made for the opening. The scream echoed. For a moment we all froze before I made for the opening. The scream echoed. The scream echoed again. A monsterly wail pierced. The scream echoed again. A monsterly wail piercing like a red-hot blade plunged into quenching oil. Okay, is that a monster? Hey, Alex, good to see you. A little warning would be nice. Sorry, Devtron. No warnings. Staying in the moment. Yeah, so Henrik, is that a monster or is it one of the adventurers screaming? This is your warning now. There will be screams. I don't know if that's supposed to be a monster or what. I think it's probably a monster. It says monsterly warning. Okay, yeah, so let's see. We've got a scream echoed out from the tunnel Edwin and the others had entered. For a moment we all froze before I made for the opening. The scream echoed again. A monsterly wail, piercing like a red-hot blade, plunged into quenching oil. My knuckles were white on my axe. Oh, sorry you had an emotional night there, Kyle. Kyle's joining, watching from Facebook right now. It's the woodweaver. Okay, gotcha. Something from Monster Within. Or the effects to make sound wood trout like woodweaver. Cool. So yeah, that's a good scream. Oh, okay. So the screams are human. The first scream is a human screaming, and then the second scream is the woodweaver. Do I have that right? Oh, they're both the woodweaver. Okay. My knuckles were white on my axe shaft. My knuckles were white on my axe shaft as more shouts followed, backed by the sounds of combat, the clank of steel, crackle of ice spells, and Edwin's voice rising above it all. Heal me! Heal me! Finn lurched forward, but Garrett's hand snapped out, catching his... Finn lurched forward, but Garrett's hand snapped out, catching his shoulder. Hey, let me go! Finn tried to wrench free. They need help! They need help! They need help! Maybe. Garrett's grip tightened on the man. But rushing in blind won't help anyone. If they're in trouble, they'll fall back. We stay put. But... Bo... Bo... But nothing. But nothing. They're either strong enough to win or smart enough to retreat. Either way, we will only be in the way. We're of no help in such an enclosed... We're of no help in such an enclosed space. We're of no help in such an enclosed space, I said, not liking the words, but they were the truth. More ice crashed, the sound of Benedict's magic thundering through the wooden tunnel. I winced at each impact, remembering the casual way he'd frozen those monsters earlier. If someone so powerful was struggling, then what could we even do? I could support with my bow, Aaron said, already knocking an arrow. Maybe from the back. Nina shook her head. I'm going to switch that around. And what if you hit one of them instead? And what if you hit one of them instead? And what if you hit one of them instead? Nina shook her head. Or worse, distract them at the wrong moment. She planted her spear. Besides, what happens if something comes up behind us while we're all down inside the tunnel? Before anyone could answer, shouts erupted from below. Steel rang, mixed with screams. Falling back! Falling back! Falling back! Marcus's voice echoed. Kill the trash mobs! 3 bells. 3 bells, Garrett cursed as he ran over to the entrance, down. Garrett cursed as he ran over to the entrance and bellowed. What's the situation? What's the situation? No answer came. Just more sounds of fighting, growing fainter as Marcus's group retreated. What did you see? What did you see? What did you see? Cold sweat trickled down my spine as I looked between the 3 tunnels, making sure we weren't caught by surprise. 7. What do you see? What do you see? 7. No, wait. 8. 7. 7. No, wait. 8. 7. No, wait. 8 monsters chasing Marcus and his group back down to the first floor. This couldn't be random. The timing was too perfect, and the attack too coordinated. The dungeon is testing us. Something is definitely wrong, and shit is about to hit the fan. Any sign of their adventurers? Nina asked. Garrett shook his head, and I shushed her. Quiet. Don't attract the monsters up. I pointed into the tunnel. We need to find out what happened to Edwin first. Then we can attack the monsters from behind. The screams grew louder from Edwin's tunnel and were accompanied by the wet sound of tearing flesh and splintering wood. My heart hammered as I walked closer, trying to pinpoint exactly what was happening. Benedict's ice magic crackled again, and a roar erupted from within the tunnel. Light flashed, throwing shadows around the bend, followed by Edwin's cries of pain. Help him! Help! Help him! Help him! Help him! That was the voice of the silver-bearded healer. I can't! Benedict's voice cracked. The corruption is... Something heavy slammed into the wood, and a man screamed. "Eyes up! Eyes up!" Garrett snapped. "Movement!" 3 ring beetles scuttled from the second left tunnel, followed by a rambling branch walker, its eyes glowing. At the same moment, the stench of rot hit me as 3 blight peeds undulated from the right passage, their black bodies glistening. Are they trying to box us in? Trash? What the hell is going on? "Garrett! Nina! Left tunnel! Garrett! Nina! Left tunnel!" I shouted. "Finn! Finn! With me on the right! Aaron, support where you can!" Garrett slammed his shield down on the first ring beetle, not even protesting my snappy order. Uh-oh. It's getting a bit glitchy, a bit slow. Garrett slammed his shield down. Garrett slammed his shield down on the first ring beetle, not even protesting. Garrett slammed his shield down on the first ring beetle, not even protesting my snappy order. Nina's spear darted in from the side, stabbing at the monster's eyes. Behind them, the branch walker clicked against the wood. An arrow whizzed by my shoulder, thudding into the tooth-filled maw of the lead blightpeed. The creature ate it up like a snack. Its segmented body rippling as it pressed forward. "Oh, come on then!" Finn yelled beside me, raising his short sword with one hand and the brass knuckles on his other. I hefted my axe, and we met the monsters. The first blightpeed snapped for my leg. I sidestepped and brought my axe down, the blade biting deep into its side. It felt like chopping a bag of wet rice. The creature's attack missed, giving us an opening. Finn darted in, sword stabbing at its head while I wrestled my weapon free. Behind us, Garrett grunted as he and Nina fought to keep the monsters inside the tunnel. Nobody needed it pointed out that if the monsters got past us and onto the platform, we'd be surrounded and die a most horrible death. "Watch out!" Aaron's arrow took a blightpeed in the mouth as it lunged for my arm. I pulled away and spun, axe cleaving downward, but the blade glanced off its slick hide. I activated my sigil just as Finn screamed for me, and I saw a light yellow aura covering the monsters. Rusted ruin! I activated my sigil just as Finn screamed for me, and I saw a light yellow aura covering the monsters. Rusted ruin. These are stronger! There was nothing I could do as the third blightpeed's teeth clamped onto Finn's sword arm. Blood sprayed across his chest, and Finn screamed. I danced around, hacking at the monster, all the while dodging the others. Finally, my axe found purchase behind its head, and it flopped once and lay limp, seemingly deflated. A crash sounded from behind. Garrett was losing his footing. Finn roared and mounted the second blightpeed, brass knuckles slapping against its head again and again, blood pouring from his right wrist where his hand was gone. Before I could engage the last blightpeed, Garrett's shout drew my attention. "Incoming! Incoming! 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 I cut down on pure instinct, slicing into a monster. I cut down on pure instinct, slicing into the monster, and I cut down on pure instinct, slicing into the monster, and turned. My throat closed up as a true monster lurched from Edwin's tunnel. My throat closed up as a true monster lurched from Edwin's tunnel. 8 legs, 4 ending in ragged stumps, supported by a massive 8 legs, 4 ending in ragged stumps, supported a massive body of rotting wood and writhing fungus. 8 legs, 4 ending in ragged stumps, supported a massive body of rotting wood and writhing fungus. Ice covered the parts where it was wounded, but then the face came into view. Human-like features were twisted in a... Human? Oh no. Human-like features were twisted in a... Human-like features were twisted in a perpetual scream, half alive, half decayed, like the corruption itself had torn it apart and stitched it back, but everything was wrong. Like the corruption itself had torn it apart and stitched it back, but everything was wrong. Like the corruption itself had torn it apart and stitched it back, but everything was wrong. My eye sigil activated, and I cursed under my breath. A deep, crimson aura surrounded the creature. A variant monster called the woodweaver. "Someone cover that tunnel!" Garrett cried. Oh, damn. "Someone cover that tunnel!" Garrett cried, and stumbled as a ring beetle battered his leg, and the ranch... Garrett cried, and stumbled as a ring beetle battered his leg, and the branch walker's claws raked his shoulder, tearing through his leather armor. Nina jumped around, stabbing down at a beetle, doing her best to stay away from its mandibles. I glanced at Aaron. Fear had drained the color from her face as she drew another arrow but couldn't release it. Brown crap splashed around Finn as he hammered the blightpeed. There was still one left, and the woodweaver was... There was still one left, and the woodweaver was coming. There was still one left, and the woodweaver was coming. The image of magical ironweave facing down... The image of magical ironweave facing down a horde of monsters flashed through my mind. He had been just like us when he started out, a scavenger having risen through the ranks. A calm settled over me, one that I had never felt in such a situation. "Finn, hold for your life! Finn, hold for your life! I'm sorry!" I gripped my axe tight. "Just hold! Aaron, kill that portal-pissed blightbeed or he's dead!" The spider thing screamed as I charged at it. I was committed and had to either attack or be killed. Before it could strike, I swung hard at the nearest limb, but my axe bounced off with a crack that jarred my bones. Pain flared up my arms, and I cried out in surprise. It was like hitting a steel husk tree. The monster lunged, that horrific face snapping at me with teeth more fitting a gargoyle than a living being. I dove and rolled, coming up beneath its body. My axe found the joint of a back leg, but it barely scratched the surface. Behind me, Nina screamed. The spider's head bent down, doubling over and snapping at me. I poked its face with my axe, as much on me. I poked its face with my axe, as much on instinct as plan, and it gurgled in rage and scrambled to get away from me. Despite it being inferior to the weapons our adventurer parties had used, the axe was extremely sharp. The axe was extremely sharp, and it still drew blood. A leg caught me in the ribs, hitting harder than the time I'd lost grip on the mayor's horse mid-shoeing. My back cracked against the wall, pain exploding through me, and my back cracked against the wall, pain exploding through me. My back cracked against the wall, pain exploding through me. My back cracked against the wall, pain exploding through me. And for a moment, my back cracked against the wall, pain exploding through me. And for a moment, I thought that was it. Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up, or they're all dead! Aaron, too. I blinked my eyes clear just in time and scrambled aside as another leg stabbed down where I'd been seconds ago. I blinked my eyes clear just in time and scrambled aside as another leg stabbed down where I'd been only a second. I blinked my eyes clear just in time and scrambled aside as another leg stabbed down where I'd been a second ago. I rolled with the dodge and came up behind it. As the monster turned, I saw one of the remaining legs limping. That one's already cracked. Get it. That one's already cracked. Get it. Go! I feinted left, and the monster turned its body to intercept, but then I struck out right, putting everything into a single blow at the damaged leg. The axe bit deep, and something broke. The spider staggered on its 3 legs, shrieking. The sound drove ice picks and The sound drove ice picks into my skull. But I couldn't stop, not when our lives were on the line. Die! Garrett's voice went high as he cried in rage and pain. Fucking die already! I pressed in again, ducking under the monster's attempt to bite. Another leg came for me, but I could see its weak spot. With all my strength, muscles built in long hours of hammering in the forge, With all my strength, muscles built in long hours of hammering in the forge, I struck, and my axe found the joint. Black blood splashed as the limb fell right off. The creature screamed again. So did Nina, calling for her mother. I didn't care. I couldn't. I had only one job to do, and that was making sure that this spider monster didn't get the others. If I ran, they'd be dead anyway. If I managed to hold it back long enough, the others might still live. Chop, chop, chop. Like felling a tree, I swung my axe hard and fast, aiming at the exposed joints. The monster tried to get me with one of its remaining legs, but it couldn't hold itself up and fight at the same time. Another swing, and another leg cracked. The spider collapsed with a loud hiss. Another swing, and another leg cracked. The spider collapsed with a loud hiss. It still had its mouth. But I darted around and stayed away from its face. I wanted to look around the room and see how everyone else was doing, but I couldn't. Even a single misstep could end me. I climbed up the hind part of its body and stepped on top of its back. I climbed up the hind part of its body and stepped on top of its back. I climbed up the hind part of its body and stepped on its... I climbed up the hind part of its body and stepped on top of its back. It was large, with a humanoid torso protruding from its arachnoid body. But because of all the legs and jagged edges, I barely managed to keep myself from falling. The monster twisted its head around, but it couldn't quite see me. With a wicked grin, I got to work on its neck. Each blow was harder than the last. My arms burned, sweat and blood stung my eyes, but I didn't stop. Again, and again, and again. I could feel my ears ringing and arms burning. My right wrist hurt so bad that for a moment I thought it had broken. Then my voice caught up, and I found myself screaming endlessly. My voice was raw, and dark blood covered my hands, arms, and the axe. Wood splintered, corruption spurted, and then the head came free. I gasped. I gasped for air. I gasped for air. Even my lungs burned. The platform swam before my eyes, and I had a hard time staying on my feet. There was blood everywhere. I blinked it away and searched for the others. Praying to anyone willing to listen that they were alive. Finn sat propped against the wall by the right tunnel, cradling his severed hand in his lap. 3 dead blightpedes lay around him, of which 2 had multiple arrow shafts sticking from their faces. Erin stood in the middle of the room, her left hand grasping the air above her empty quiver, again and again, eyes wide open and letting out a silent scream. Tears were rolling down her cheeks and pooling at her chin. Garrett knelt by the second left passage, bleeding from his shoulder. His shield lay dented and torn beside him. And Nina, she lay on her belly in a pool of red, a ring beetle's mandibles buried in her back, looking at me. She blinked her eyes twice and tried to roll, but she winced and stayed put. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant echo of battle coming from far. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant echo of battle. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant echo of battle coming from far and... Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant... Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant echo of battle coming from far inside Edwin's tunnel. What do you think? Should I put the breathing there? That's cool. I like it there. Let's try it over here. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the. Then all the sound came back at once. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant echo of battle coming. Then all the sound came back at once, and I could hear myself breathing amidst the distant echo of battle coming from far inside Edwin's tunnel. Oh, shoot. I thought you guys could hear it. And 3. There, let me see. Oh no! Damn it, I've been using the wrong mic this whole time. Oh, that's a pain. Yeah, it automatically switched my mic out. Here, 1 second, guys. Oh, man. There we go. You guys still hear me? Testing, 1, 2. Do you hear me now? Well, then it's a good mic. Breathing would sound best. Didn't even notice. Yeah, if you guys can hear me now, then this. Oops. You hear that? It seems off. There's something seems off still. Testing. Okay. Voice speaker input. Oh, there we go. All right, now you guys can hear me, right? Oh man, I was using the wrong settings. Totally quiet now. Okay, yeah. I figured it out. Yeah, it's been a while, guys. Yeah, it's always a bit of a puzzle figuring out all the sound routing and all that stuff. So cool. Well, I appreciate your kind words, Justin. Just finished Reborn Assassin, picked it up. Wizard's Tower Trilogy. Nice. So excited for the next project to drop. This one is already sounding good. Well, hey, I'm glad you're enjoying. And hey, look at all these likes and loves and all that stuff. Yeah, if you're enjoying this sort of content, let us know. Let me know. Like the video and love it. I know a lot of you guys here have already shared your appreciation and your enjoyment of this sort of thing, and that's our main thing. We want to do things that you guys enjoy. So yeah, more cold reads. I know cold reads are pretty well established, but yeah, it's good to know. For example, we've got cold reads on the app. We usually will take cold reads and we'll put them on the app, but honestly, nobody really listens to them there. It makes more sense for them to just stay on YouTube. So a little less work for us. We've stopped putting it on the app because no one listens to it there, really. If people do listen to it there, then they didn't let us know, and so we have to change it. So, but we did check the stats, and it's very few people. Only people really listen to only ones that people listen to is the DCC cold reads on the app. So let's see. We just finished chapter 3, and hell, like this is coming along. We're already an hour in to the audio. I'm doing a bit more. I'm doing a bit slower than my normal rate because there's a lot of dialogue. And that's what we do best at SBT is dialogue. That's what makes our productions, I think, really stand out. They're more in the vein of what are they called? Oh, wait. Hold on. Henrik, is the warrior in Edwin's party, is that Canute? Because I know at this point he doesn't know Canute, but I'm wondering if that's like a nod to Canute. When he's like, okay, it's not. All right. Oh, wait, no, it's Rowan. It's Rowan is his name. Never mind. Oh, I just want to get to Rock. Can't wait. Kyle says, love all you guys do. Just can't show up most of the time. I need to pick up some more stuff on SB app on my next paycheck. Hey, well, thank you. Yeah, any support on the app is welcome, you know. It's all a la carte, no subscriptions, and we want to make audio as accessible as we can, while still being able to sustain it. And you know, it's a tricky balance, but we can charge less on the platform and earn more than Audible, and there's no subscription. So, yeah, that's another thing. If you guys enjoy the content that we do and you want to support us, head on over to the app and look and see if there's anything that interests you, because that's going to help us, you know, really be able to create more audiobooks in this way. And also weather the storm that's kind of coming with Audible and the changes that they're making, Spotify getting more and more into the Audible market. If audiobooks go the route of music, it's going to be really, really difficult to sustain. I don't know how the music industry has survived going to Spotify. It's crazy what streaming actually pays compared to, you know, the old days when people actually bought albums. So yeah, support us on the app. Go to Sound Booth Theater. Well, soon to be. Well, I can't announce it, I don't think, but it's going to be relaunching. I can announce that it's going to be relaunching tomorrow. There's going to be a new version of the app, so definitely go check that out tomorrow. And yeah, try it out. Try to break it. Let us know what you think. Reach out to support if you have any issues with it, and we're going to get that thing polished up. But it's already looking a lot better, and I think it's running a lot better as well. No more losing your place mid-audiobook. That's no fun. That was one of the things I had a hard time listening to our app because, yeah, I would just lose my place. And that's like the most frustrating thing as an audiobook listener. It's like the thing you need. So I'm really excited for this new version to correct a lot of those little things that are not so little. You guys, I think that's all I've got in me today. I think that's 3 hours is a pretty good length for a cold read session. So, and we got a full hour of audio done. So I'm feeling pretty dang good about this. Henrik, thank you so much for hanging out the entire time. For all of you who are just joining us, or those of you tuning in from home, from not live, please check out Riftside on Amazon if you have a moment. And if you like to collect the Kindle versions, grab a copy, read it on Kindle Unlimited. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. Is that right, Henrik? Check it out. And don't forget, you can always, if you buy the Kindle version, you can always, well, sometimes it doesn't line up, but usually, pick up the audiobook with the WhisperSync for much cheaper than an Audible credit. So that is something to keep in mind also. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you like, what you don't like about this video. And yeah, stay tuned for more cold reads. I will be back tomorrow at the same time, 9 o'clock. So put it in your schedules, subscribe for notifications, all that good stuff, and I'll see you then. All right, everybody. I'm going to bounce. I'm going to get myself a second coffee, I think. This one's pretty much dead.
Ah, coffee. Warms my soul. All right. Much love, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Till then, ciao. Ending the stream now, ending the stream. It wants to play an outro, but I'm not doing that project anymore. Bye, everyone.